Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of Miami Hurricanes Talk with Danny. Um, my guest this week is Michael Truilo. Did I get that right?
Trurillo.
Truillo, Michael Truillo. He's the play-by-play voice of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. That'll be our opponent on Saturday night at Hard Rock Stadium, 7 o'clock. He has a few minutes to join us. Background on this guy, a native of Ormond Beach, and he's a graduate of James Madison, which I found interesting. And career
Yeah,
highlights.
I,
Go
I
ahead.
went to I went to JMU actually to study music. My whole
Wow.
family is musicians, and I ended up not doing that. So
Whoa. That worked out in the end. Yeah, I noticed your career highlights. I the Simulation Football League. You were the play-by-play voice, and you were responsible for 1 to 2 football games weekly for two 15-week seasons yearly. Tell us about that a little bit. Tell our audience about
yeah, so the SFL is basically what happens when a lot of people that are not good at sports video games try and come together to make sports video games great. So we use an old NFL 2K from 2005.
Oh, wow.
And there are teams in the league that are coaches that develop playbooks and game plans. There are players that you can progress attributes, kind of like a fantasy football thing. But
Yeah.
you are in control of the team. You're in control of the branding. I do a lot of like uniforms and stadium branding, a lot of graphic design for the team I'm on, and it's all done up very professionally. And then the best part about the SFL is you let go at the end of the day because it's just your playbook and what the AI runs from your playbook against the opponent's playbook and what the AI runs from your opponent's playbook. And football magic happens. And it's been going on for over a decade. We're in our 25th season now in the SFL
Wow.
with 2 seasons per year. So check it out. That's
Yeah, I'll put that
simfl.net
in the description. I'll put that in the
if
description
that's
for
got
those
anybody
watching on
interested.
YouTube. I'll put that in the description for those on YouTube, by the way. I'll definitely do that. Also, Varsity Sports Network. You did color commentary as well as play-by-play for high school sporting events here in Florida. Tell us about that a little bit.
Yeah, so when I moved back to Florida after college in Virginia, I wanted to get my foot in the door in real sports, right? I'd done sim football for a while with the SFL, and I wanted to give the real life stuff a try. So I did some high school football here locally in Daytona Beach. I worked for
Mhm.
Little Atlantic High School in Port Orange for a
Yeah,
while, doing an internet radio stream for them, and then I got picked up by Varsity Sports Network, now called Varsity Sports Nation, but they still do high school sports
yeah,
broadcasts in Central Florida. They're mostly in Orlando, and I
yeah.
spent a couple good years with them, and that really helped me hone my craft. And then I got picked up by Bethune-Cookman after that.
Wow, wow. Pretty interesting. Yeah, my brother used to coach girls soccer as an assistant for many years here in Tampa. And those Orlando teams are very good at soccer. They've been that
Mm-hmm.
way for years.
Well, I used to referee soccer at
No
the
kidding.
high school and under level before the sports broadcasting thing took off, and I didn't have time for that anymore. So,
No, I didn't blame you for that. Yeah, yeah. Also, you own your own company called MJT Sports Productions.
well, when I was first starting out doing high school sports, I needed a platform to stream on because
Mhm.
I didn't have a radio station. I didn't have a website. I wasn't backed by anybody locally. So I created essentially my own company and my own radio station called MJT Sports Productions. And that's what I used to stream high school sports radio for a couple years.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. I mean, I always like to know that. Let's get to the business at hand. Last week against FIU, uh, 40 42-9. FIU beats the Bethune. All three of their backs scored one touchdown in the game. Um, how are they preparing to take on a Miami team coming off an emotional win against Notre Dame?
Well, it's hard, really. Like, what could you do, right? You're at FCS school. You've got fewer scholarships, less size up
Yeah.
front, less size overall than even FIU, and you go into a Miami game really thinking, what are positives we can take from this? What are we looking for
What was
that
Coach
we can
Woody's
take away
message to
from
the
this?
team after the game and during the week getting ready for this game?
Well, what he's told us and what he's told the media is you got to look for the positives, right? And
Yeah,
we found some. We definitely had some in the FIU game. I mean, one of those positives was Timmy McClain,
yeah.
former UCF quarterback, transfers in
Hmm.
from Arkansas State, and he kind of took the reins. 18 of 28, 164 yards. Cam Ransom, who was our starting quarterback last year, 77 yards on 5 completions.
Hmm.
Um, and you just look for little things and guys competing for playing time as we get closer to conference season. And I think that's what we'll be looking for. I think you have to throw the final score out in games
Yeah,
like this.
yeah, absolutely. And the thing I noticed there was some new additions on the coaching staff. Dante Pimpleton, Otis Mounds, Brandon Washington. Hurricane fans know him. He was a former Miami Hurricane. Pat Brown and Keith Tobridge. What can you tell us about those coaches, especially
Well,
Brandon
Dante
Washington?
Pimpleton's not a new addition. He's in a new role.
New role, I should say. Yes.
So he was promoted to offensive coordinator in the offseason after our offensive coordinator, Joe Gerbino, left to take the quarterback job at Colgate up in the Northeast.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing a lot of the same things, right? Because he worked under Gerbino for the last 2 years. But I think what we're seeing a little bit more under Pimpleton is they're going to go more air raid style. They're going to spread you out a little bit. They're going to try and throw the ball. 241 passing yards is basically a tribute to that. We outpassed FIU in the game last week,
Hmm.
241 to 233
Yeah.
on, 40 less snaps.
Wow.
So, um, so I think we're going to open things up more in the pass game. We've got really talented receivers. Javon Ross is a local guy from DeLand who six
Yeah.
catches, 109 yards, had a 59-yard catch on the second play from scrimmage to
Yeah,
set
I
us
saw
up for a
that.
field goal. Ricky Shaw is a big transfer, really high on. And then we've got our top two receivers from last year returning, Malik Huggins and Lorenzo Jenkins. So there's a lot of talent on the outside. And I think the quarterback's job, both Ransom and McClain, is just to try and get their guys open in space and allow them to make plays.
Yeah, I know what we coming off. I was at the game. You can tell my voice is a little shot. Still a little shot from that, but yeah, coming off an emotional win against Notre Dame. The thing here is no letdowns. Take care of business. I mean, I think for Miami, the danger is not overlooking Bethune, but a potential letdown. I don't see that happening, especially coming off an emotional win against the Irish on Sunday night.
And you have to understand, right? A letdown in terms of Miami's eyes may be a win that's 35 to 14 instead of
Yeah,
66 nothing,
yeah,
right? we
yeah,
we at least the people in our camp are well aware of what the final score is likely going to be.
yeah.
And you just look for the little positives and things you can take into the next week. The main thing is you can't get hurt in a game like
No,
this.
no,
Because I
that's the bottom
remember
line.
the last time I talked to you was when we came down 2 years ago and
Yes.
we had two quarterbacks and two starting offensive linemen hurt in that game, and they were out
Oh
for the rest
yeah,
of the season. It was very detrimental to us in a
yeah,
team that lost 5-1 score games. So I think not getting anybody hurt is going to be important. You're going to see everybody on the roster get a chance to play. You're going to see the coaching staff be very careful with if someone gets hit, they're going to be taken out and
yeah,
evaluated and stuff like that.
yeah. That's the bottom line, Michael. You don't want to get anybody hurt. I mean, you start conference play in a couple weeks, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, so we have South Carolina State, a former conference foe, on the road next week, and that's the first game where you really will probably get a good look at this team and say, okay, where are you really? Because
Yeah.
FIU and Miami, you got to throw those out.
Yeah,
They're
just throw them
FBS
out. They're
teams.
FBS teams. In Miami's case,
Mm-hmm.
potentially a playoff team.
Yeah.
For sure.
Then you get to South Carolina State. They're a team, another HBCU, a former conference foe out of the MEAC. That should give you a better understanding of where you are as a team going into conference play. And then we got a D2 team to round out now in conference against Edward Waters, which again, like you can't, like Miami can't look past Bethune-Cookman. We
No.
can't look past Edward Waters. And it's that kind of same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing, Michael, I look at when do you guys come to Tampa? I know there's some classic you guys are having here.
Yeah, so we're going to be playing the Tampa Bay Football Classic
Hmm.
against Southern on October 11th at Raymond James, and I'm looking forward to that. I like Raymond
Yeah,
James.
yeah,
We
you'll
played
like it. You'll
USF
like
there.
it very much, Michael.
Well,
Believe me.
we played USF there last year, and I've worked a couple of the games there in the past. So yeah, I like Raymond James.
Another thing I noticed, like you were like a PA announcer for one. Weren't you a PA announcer at one point?
Yeah, I do a lot of PA here on the East Coast. I work a lot of college basketball events here when teams come down to do winter MTEs. I work for the FHSAA on a couple of their state championship events. I
Oh,
work with Stetson University and Embry-Riddle
yeah, with the
University,
girls soccer.
a couple of other schools around here doing PA. It's a chance to fill space in my days that is not built up with Bethune-Cookman because any day that I'm not out at a game or prepping for a game is a bad day.
Yeah, it definitely is, Mike. Another thing and I know I want to get you out of here on this. Uh, I know you can't predict because you'll be calling the game, but what are your keys, not to an upset per se, but to keep it at least competitive for a little while?
My keys are when it gets off script, how do you respond? Because you saw the script against FIU 7 play, 70-yard drive, field goal. Perfection on that first drive, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you didn't get another first down until 2 minutes to go in the first half. So when it gets off script, and that's for the players and that's for the coaches, how does it look? How do you respond to the defensive adjustments? What adjustments do you make? The other thing I want to see, and this is looking at a couple of specific
Yeah, yeah.
scheme things, excuse me.
Yeah,
I
sure.
want to see a lot of quick passes. We took way too many, not only sacks, but pressures and scrambles. Our offensive line is going to be undersized. We know that against Miami. I want to see quick passes. I want to see screens and slants and get the ball out of the quarterback's hands early. Don't let them dance around and take a bunch of pressure and take a bunch of sacks. Get the ball to your hands of your receivers. Let them see what they can do. On the defensive side, I'd expect us to kind of load up the box and stop the run. I
Hmm.
expect Miami to run the ball a lot and
Hmm.
eat clock even from the early going. Maybe Beck gets a couple of touchdowns in the early going and then
Yeah.
they start running the ball. We have been notoriously bad against the run. Last year, we were 119th in the FCS. That's fifth to last if you're keeping score in run defense against per game, giving up 280 yards per game on the ground. So that's something we need to clean up. And against FIU, it wasn't much better. We gave up 246 yards on the ground against the Panthers last week, and it's just something that we gotta work on, and something that the defense has to account for. And I'd expect them to stack the box, maybe stack a double linebacker in the middle, and then just try and fill that gaps.
Yeah, I think when you look at our team, as you if you saw the game Sunday night, the thing that Notre Dame did not do is Notre Dame did not run the ball enough. I thought we had to pressure car. We did that. We had to contain the run of Notre Dame. We did that. I think in this game, it's no letdowns. But the thing is, you don't want to get sloppy early. You don't want to turn the ball over. I think the Canes are going to come out ready to play this game. There'll be no letdowns from the emotional win Sunday night against Notre Dame. And I think Miami wins comfortably in this game. I'm gonna give my prediction. My prediction is gonna be along the lines of 55, 56 to 14. 56-14, right around there.
Yeah, and the other thing is, right,
Sure.
last year Bethune Cookman didn't score a touchdown till week 3.
Wow.
We got one field goal against USF in week 1. And then we played Mercer, a top ranked FCS team, in week 2. And the only points we got in that game was a safety.
Ooh.
So I'd like to see us put it in the end zone this week. I don't care if it's 66-0 and the Water Boys are out in the fourth quarter. I'd like to see us put it in the end zone at some point just so we get that weight off our back. Because again, South Carolina State's not a pushover. They dominated a pretty good Wofford team in week 1. So I got to see the offense put it together because in the red zone, it was a little uninspired in week 1. A lot of just short concepts, trying to punch the ball in against the bigger defensive line, throwing the ball away, holding the ball too long, and settling for field goals.
Yeah. Any word from Woody and the coaching staff who starts in Miami? I guess in Miami Gardens.
I would expect Timmy McClain to get the majority of the snaps. Cam Ransom actually started against FIU, but against the after the second drive, he got taken out for McClain, who played the most of the rest of the game. I wouldn't even be surprised if we see 3 or 4 quarterbacks used, just if the game gets out of hand, and just to
Yeah.
see how people look out there. I think this game is going to be a teaching tool for Bethune-Cookman. It's going to be a way for the coaching staff to evaluate a bunch of guys. I think everybody's going to get in. You can throw away those two deeps after the
Yeah.
first quarter, maybe, and
Yeah.
just see what you got.
Yeah, that's basically we're probably gonna do the same on this end. Maybe play our starters for about a half, a little into the third, and then you'll start to see the second and third units come into the game, and we want to see how they look. We want to give them as much access as we can. But yeah, that's where I feel. 56-14 will be the final. Michael, thank you very much for coming on. Greatly appreciate it. Enjoy the trip back to South Florida this weekend, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man. Let me see. Hold on, stay with me. Hold on.